good afternoon to you guys here. It is June 15th, Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. Appreciate you guys, as always, for watching this. And we have got a wild, guys, and when I mean wild, a wild stretch of significant severe weather starting today, going through tomorrow, going into your Tuesday, going into Wednesday, and going into Thursday. I really think the next 4 to 5 days here is going to be a very long and pretty significant stretch of severe weather, with mostly damaging wind and large hail being the threat. There will be some tornado threats embedded within these, but I really think the damaging wind threat is going to be very widespread and very vast over the next couple of days in different areas. And a lot of these areas have seen severe weather already this year. We're starting to get some of these areas that are in the high plains, the upper Midwest, to start to see severe weather again. I haven't seen it a lot, but there will be some areas like the Ohio River Valley that will see some severe weather going toward the end of the week. So we're going to break this forecast down to you guys. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with today, so this video might be just a little bit longer than what it is. We're also going to have live stream coverage every single day going forward, starting today. Kind of talk about what's going to happen and cover in depth on what happens, in general each day with each day's weather coverage. So we'll start out here with today. We got some showers and thunderstorms ongoing across the East Coast here. That pesky low pressure system that's been spinning over the Ohio River Valley for the last 2-ish, almost 3 days now. It was down here in Texas that caused that flooding risk. It is all the way up here now into the Ohio River Valley and into the eastern and the mid-Atlantic here, where we've got a low threat for some severe weather down here today. We'll get to that here in a minute. An ongoing cluster of storms that went through Oklahoma last night, causing some damaging winds, some hail. I think we had a couple of tornado embedded reports. I'll have to get to those later on and double check on that, but I think I saw a couple of reports of some damage with potentially some brief spin up tornadoes. But other than that, heavy rain, a wall of wind coming through central Texas right now. Dallas, you guys are getting lots of rain as well. Most of you guys will start to clear out later on this afternoon, and then we'll kind of redo things again going through the next couple of days here. Showers and storms also down here in the southeast as well. Lots of humidity out there, allowing for those dew points to increase, allowing for instability to allow for more storms to happen. So we're going to continue to see that pattern down in the southeast, where we'll get some good soaking rainfall for a lot of people down there. And then this is going to be our main event really for the next 2 to 3 days, the area that we're going to be watching for the threat for significant severe weather in the form of large to giant hail, this threat for 75 plus mile an hour winds, and we're also going to be watching for a couple of tornadoes. There could be a strong tornado threat, a sneaky strong tornado threat going maybe into tomorrow and maybe even into Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But make sure you guys, as always, do like the video, leave any comments if you have any questions. As always, share the live stream out. We're here to save lives. We're here to keep you guys updated with the weather forecast, as always, and we will give you guys the fullest of those information every single day and on live weather coverages. So make sure y'all keep up with us, and we'll keep you guys updated with that as always. Here's our risk zone for today. We got a level 3 enhanced risk once again. It feels like this area has been getting it the last couple of days, and it's going to continue to be like that. I've mentioned that, in weeks prior about this pattern setting up, that we're going to see the high plains really get going here in the upper Midwest, really get going. We do have a little area of a marginal risk zone back here along North Carolina and Virginia. There is a small 2% tornado risk over here. I'll get to that in a second. A marginal risk that accompany the leftover remnants of this little MCS that's moving through central Texas right now. There will be a threat for some isolated wind and hail down here into New Mexico and western Texas later on this afternoon. But our main event, once again, is going to be Montana, going back up here to South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, getting up here into Kansas. This area is going to be the high focus for today, and this will shift east tomorrow and then continue to shift east going into Tuesday and Wednesday here. But we will have a threat for large hail once again today. The threat here for that enhanced risk, slight risk, and marginal risk. This is a enhanced hail-driven risk zone today and an enhanced driven wind risk zone today. The hatched 15 and hatched 30% hail risk today. We could see hail exceed 2 inches in diameter. That more than likely will happen. We've been seeing that a lot here over the last couple of days. Outside those 30% and 15% hatched risk zones there, we do have 15 and a 5% both on the East Coast and in the plains here for hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter. We've also got a hatched wind threat today. We do have to watch for outflow boundary wind gust and storms embedded that could produce winds over 75 miles per hour here in this area. So southeastern Montana, western South Dakota, western North Dakota, southwestern and northwestern portions of South Dakota here, and then getting into eastern and northeastern Colorado, winds could exceed 75 miles per hour in that area. And then outside of that, everybody else could see winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour with a 5 and a 15% chance. Now, the tornado risk today is low. Could see a couple tornadoes out there. Once again, Montana, Colorado, this has been the area to watch. And then a little small area here along the East Coast here, Richmond, Virginia, getting into Virginia Beach and the East Coast of North Carolina here. We'll have to watch out for a couple spin-up tornadoes in both areas here. So we'll keep you guys up to date on that. I think things start to change pretty significantly going into tomorrow. We do have a double barrel enhanced risk. This just got updated a few minutes ago. That's kind of why I waited to make this video. A double barrel enhanced risk for Minnesota. You guys, Minneapolis, Minnesota, you guys missed out on the last big moderate risk you had a couple months ago. This one could actually come to fruition tomorrow, I think. We are going to have a pretty decent boundary in place. A damaging wind threat, a hail threat, and an isolated tornado threat to an elevated tornado threat will be possible. Some of the models are showing a higher, maybe stronger tornado risk tomorrow. We'll have to keep an eye on that, maybe for an isolated strong tornado if things can come together. But Minneapolis, Minnesota, getting down here to Sioux Falls, you guys are going to be playing line cards for tomorrow, and then we have another enhanced risk again back down here into Nebraska, giving us the threat for, once again, wind. These are going to be enhanced and hail-driven risk zones tomorrow, not tornado-driven, at least as of right now. And then we'll have a slight risk here outside of that from Billings, Montana, back down through South Dakota and Nebraska, getting up into Iowa here, and then a marginal risk outside of that. The tornado risk tomorrow is not, it's a little bit higher than what today's is. Still need to take this very seriously. A 2% tornado risk here in the green, and then a 5% here in the maroon. Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Twin Cities, you guys are in that Sioux Falls. You're just on that line there. Some of the other areas here that are going to be impacted, we've got St. Paul, Minnesota, Rochester, Bloomington, and Plymouth, Minnesota as well, going to be in the threat here for a couple tornadoes. I would not be shocked to see that 5% get extended down. We'll kind of see what the outflow boundaries do tomorrow with our MCS that moves through, and I would not honestly be shocked to see a small embedded 10% hatch tornado risk if things increase. We will have a decent amount of shear tomorrow with this system moving through. There could be a strong tornado risk at play tomorrow. We'll just kind of see what SPC does in the future with this here. Wind threat also going to be interesting tomorrow. We have a 30% wind threat. As of right now, this is not hatched. Wouldn't be shocked to see it go hatch, but a 30% wind threat here for winds up to 70 miles per hour, and then a 15% chance of seeing in the yellow here winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour, and then in the maroon here we have another threat for seeing 5% chance of seeing winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. So a pretty big wind threat tomorrow, and then the hail threat's really going to be the issue here in Minnesota. The hatched 30% hail risk here, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You guys could see hail above 2 inches in diameter tomorrow. We could see that all the way down to southwestern Minnesota, central Minnesota, getting into southeastern portions of South Dakota here, and getting up into northern Nebraska here. That hatched region, we could see hail in excess of 2 to 2.5 plus inches in diameter. Outside of that, everybody else has a 1 to 2 inch ratio hail risk, and then that'll be in the 15 to the 5% regions there. So we'll be watching out for that for you guys tomorrow as well. Live coverage will start tomorrow afternoon, probably again as well at the same time as today does, probably around 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take a few hours on that there. And then we get to the day 3 outlook, and I'm going to tell you guys now, kind of looks like a heart shape here. We're going to have to watch the Tuesday outlook very closely here. A lot of the models are starting to signal some pretty high tornado corridor colors here into the Kansas area, getting into Missouri and southern Iowa. Not right now looking at like a big tornado day, but the parameters do suggest some pretty decent shear. And so if storms do initiate, we get some isolated cells out there, maybe some Boeing complexes. These are more of these MCS days, these line segment days that we typically see with our troughing. We could see a couple embedded tornadoes tomorrow. We've also got another marginal risk there in the East Coast there across West Virginia, getting into northern North Carolina, where we could see a couple of wind and hail events. But I would not be shocked to see the slight risk expand pretty significantly. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be shocked to see a level 3 enhanced risk get introduced in the future. So we could be looking at back-to-back enhanced risk zones in the future here. And I'll talk about the fourth one here in just a second. But level 2 and level 1 risk zones at play for tomorrow. All hazards possible. And then we get to Wednesday. Wednesday, we've got to watch very, very closely. They did expand that in slight risk once again here, covering St. Louis back down here to Springfield, all the way up through central Illinois, central and northern Indiana. Most of Indiana is in that risk zone here, getting into southern Michigan and getting into western Ohio. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm going to show you guys some model guidance here in just a second. The CSU model guidance, we haven't shown it in a while because we haven't had to show it, but it's showing a bigger picture for Wednesday. And I want to watch Wednesday. We're going to have a pretty decent little shortwave trough here with some decent amount of wind shear in the lower levels. Could produce a couple tornadoes out there, maybe even a strong tornado risk potentially. Still a little ways away out. The damaging wind threat and the hail threat will be our main threat. But if supercells can fire off in this environment on Wednesday, we could see a level 3 enhanced risk be introduced here, I think, in the future very, very soon here. Once we start to get more mesoscale details into play, we'll kind of talk about that. But definitely a big day on Wednesday. Potentially could be our biggest day so far this week that we're looking at as of right now. And then we go to the day 5 outlook here, and we do have a level 2 slight risk again at play here, guys. This doesn't cover Baltimore, Washington, D.C. You guys here on the East Coast, again, will have the threat for all significant hazards here, both on going into this afternoon, tomorrow, the low end threats, and then a bigger threat coming in on your Thursday of this coming up week here. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. These higher risk zone days could be, counted for later on in the future. We'll kind of see what SPC does with that. I do want to show you guys, this is the not Wednesday. Yeah, this is what Wednesday could look like. Sorry, in terms of what CSU is thinking. So this is our CSU guidance here. This is a computer-based analog model that kind of gives us an idea of what, the risk zone could look like as we get towards closer to Wednesday here. They do actually have a level 3 enhanced risk here at play, and then a small area here getting close to moderate status. So we do need to watch. You guys can see SPC on the right. This is the official outlook. This is the, simulated outlook of what it could be. And CSU has been pretty spot on with these bigger events this year. So I would not be shocked to see this risk zone get a lot bigger later over the future here, and even an enhanced risk added here as we go through the future. Definitely need to watch Wednesday for a pretty big day for severe weather across the Ohio Valley. So my Ohio Valley peeps, my Michigan peeps, my Missouri Valley peeps, so you guys need to be ready to go on Wednesday. We could be looking at a pretty big event if things do continue to trend up a little bit. So that's what I've got for our risk zones here. I want to briefly talk about today. We'll walk more in depth on what's going to happen tomorrow and on to Tuesday and on to Wednesday in the live stream today and in tomorrow's video. I just don't have a lot of time to get the other model runs updated as of right now, but as of right now for this afternoon and for today, showers and supercells forming across central Montana. These will eventually move eastward here. We could see some pretty decent hail around 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. So these are mostly going to be overnight event storms, mostly for a lot of people in the North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana area. As we continue to see these storms progress eastward here, we'll kind of watch a cluster of storms develop here, move through the Dakotas overnight, and by tomorrow morning, we could be looking at a little leftover remnant line of storms moving through central and eastern Minnesota tomorrow morning. This isn't going to have any issues with impacting tomorrow's setup at all, because what's going to happen is that's actually going to create an outflow boundary, and when an outflow boundary sets up, off a line of storms, it basically allows for a higher gradient of severe weather potential into the afternoon hours here. And what that's going to do is basically exactly what I just said. Outflow boundary is going to create supercells in and around the Twin Cities tomorrow. So we do need to watch very, very closely for initiation right along Minnesota tomorrow, Minneapolis, Minnesota here. We could see storms fire off right on top of you guys around peak heating tomorrow. We'll have well enough instability values. The instability values are going to be climbing anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 Cape. So definitely going to have enough instability. The dew points will be very sufficient as well. Shear will be sufficient. So we do need to watch very closely tomorrow around 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But other than that, we'll have a line of storms develop going through Wisconsin, another line of storms back down here where that double barrel enhanced risk is at down here into Nebraska tomorrow as well. So just a lot of severe weather to watch out for really over the next 4 to 5 days here. Going to be a very active stretch of severe weather. Let me give you guys kind of an idea of what the instability looks like in the environment, both for today and tomorrow here up in the upper high plains here. Instability will be booming. A pretty decent amount of 1 to 3,000 Cape across Montana, getting in the Dakotas later on this afternoon. And then tomorrow, guys, we are just going to exceed the instability values along that boundary here. We could be looking at anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 Cape down here in southern Minnesota. Very strong instability back down here in Nebraska as well. These are the two corridors that I'm personally watching out for as of right now for the higher, severe weather threats here. If we do look at our tornado parameters as well for today and tomorrow as well, you can see pretty decent tornado parameters, not anything too crazy. There's a little corridor here around 9 to 10 p.m. that I do want to watch for a little bit of shear enhanced outflow boundaries that could help, maybe get us a photogenic strong tornado here in eastern Montana. You never can rule these out. And then we get to tomorrow, and I want you guys to see this here. That outflow boundary in Minneapolis, Minnesota tomorrow is going to play a huge role in if we actually do get a higher corridor of tornado potential tomorrow. But you can see where those parameters are set up at tomorrow afternoon and where we're most concerned at there in Minnesota for a decent threat for severe weather tomorrow. And then that'll really increase through the afternoon hours, and then evening hours start to kind of fall apart. We'll start to see, closer what happens down here in Nebraska tomorrow. In Nebraska, not too worried about the tornado threat. It's going to be more of that wind and the hail threat that happens. That higher tornado threat will be in Minnesota tomorrow. And we'll start to kind of talk about what's going to happen going into Tuesday and Wednesday in the next couple of videos. That's kind of what I want to get out to you guys for today. We'll go to the GFS model here, just kind of take a look at what our global pattern is doing update-wise here. High pressure down here in the Four Corners, troughing over top of the ridge. This is what's going to promote those severe weather days over the next couple of days over across the upper plains and Midwest and the Ohio River Valley here. That will continue to work its way east. We'll see that ridge actually break down. And going into Tuesday and Wednesday, once again, this is what I want to watch for here. We'll have a shortwave trough impulse that's going to be in place and just enough shear to kind of make Tuesday and Wednesday a little bit more interesting, really more in terms of Wednesday being interesting here, in terms of a severe weather or potential outbreak maybe on the table here. We'll kind of see what happens with that. That pulsive trough moves through on Wednesday afternoon. A decent amount of shear out of the southwest here. Definitely getting a little bit more concerned about Wednesday's setup, as I was mentioning a second ago. And then we're going to return to a dominant high pressure ridge, and this is going to keep much of the far southern plains, the southeast, very quiet going towards the end of this week here. We'll have northwesterly to southeasterly flow over top of that ridge. This is what we call zonal flow west to east motion. This will promote multiple days of severe weather across the high plains once again. As long as there's shear, there will be a severe weather threat. And then, like I said yesterday in my video, we've got to watch this weekend here. This low has been progressing a little bit deeper to the south, a little bit further to the east, and if that does happen, we could get a pretty volatile severe weather setup going into the weekend here. This is a little ways out, but I do want to watch this area right here going into next weekend, where maybe even a more significant severe weather outbreak could be on the table going into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of next week here. So we'll see what happens. weekends, or not next week, the following week, going into the 21st and beyond. But a very strong trough is trying to make itself known here going into the 22nd and beyond here, with a high pressure system dominating off the East Coast. This would promote a pretty big outbreak for severe weather in the high plains here going into that following Monday there. And then after that, things get a little bit more uncertain what's going to happen, but I will think we'll continue to see severe weather through the end of the month here. July starting to become a picture here, but what I'm already starting to notice about July is troughing will start to return. We'll see some quiet temperatures or some quiet weather maybe going into the 4th, hopefully, but we will start to see troughing maybe come back again, but that's still kind of a ways out to kind of get to be figured out here. Here's one more thing I'll show you guys here. Reflectivity over the next couple of days here kind of gives us an idea of what we're going to see shower and storm wise. You're going to see lots of green blobs, lots of yellow blobs. There's our organized system here on Tuesday and Wednesday. A lot of general showers and thunderstorms down in the southeast until that ridge starts to get going next week. Gotta watch, like I said, on Wednesday and Thursday here for a more robust severe weather setup here. And then after that, things get a little bit more uncertain on what's going to happen going into the weekend here, but it does look that Thursday and Friday will be a little bit quieter down here in this corridor with that upper level low, 988 millibar surface low developing up here in the high plains. Could definitely cause trouble if that were to shift east or shift north a little bit more. But I do think we will get some type of severe weather going into Friday and Saturday across the Minnesota, Wisconsin area, maybe there going into the weekend. And then after that, things get a little bit less uncertain, and we could see actually some snow showers try to sneak their way in here. We could have a pretty cold disturbance of air come down here, actually, believe it or not, with some snow showers in the high terrain areas of Wyoming and southern Montana going into the following Monday. That's a way out there, but I would not be shocked to see that because there are going to be some 40s and some 50s that do come in behind this. You get ridging to the east, some cooler temps to the northwest there, and some ridging down here to the southwest. You're going to have somebody see cold air, and that typically is what happens there. So we'll see what happens in the future here, kind of go from there. I will leave the video at that for you guys. Definitely was a longer video today. I do appreciate all the time that you guys do watch and support with this video. It means a lot in general with the forecast I give to you guys. So we'll have a live stream later on this afternoon. We'll be in coverage each day, most of the days here, doing weather coverage for you guys. Other than that, be safe. Know where to go when you get alerts on your phones for warnings. Have alerts on your phones for warnings, and we will see you guys in the next one. Be safe, y'all.